The next topic is about constitutions and the registration of NGOs. And it's important to recognize the need to constitute, that is to form. We sometimes speak of formation or board formation, so that an NGO becomes an entity. What we're looking for, of course, is something that bonds these people together. And a constitution is written, and many countries have a template. You have to discuss what the objective of the organization is first. Perhaps you give it a name, and many times the name will explain the organization. For example, an organization that's called Friends of Infuleni, you understand that the people who've grouped together, they may be in the capital city, have a common cause, and that's to help the village of Infuleni, and that's what brings them together. Constitutions will also mention, what members do, what the social organs do. It may mention whether it has a cycle of meetings and other clauses. But the key thing is that you have to begin by really defining what the purpose of the organization is and what it is that these people bonding together are trying to do. Why are they creating a membership? Very often it's the values of these people that brings them together, because they see conditions in the external environment that are unacceptable in their view, because those conditions clash with their values. And they get talking to one another, and a chemistry happens, and they decide, let's do something about this. And in order to do it, they create a small organization to do something. And so it is that an organization needs a constitution, because in order to operate, starting with opening a bank account and on, you've got to have a constitution. It has to have a name, an identity. And in most countries, it's necessary to register this constitution with the authorities, and it depends on which country, where you go, which ministry or which department that you have to register with. But very often it's difficult to get a registration, because essentially, to be very blunt, non-profit organizations don't pay taxes. And most governments, don't really like the idea of registering organizations that are not going to be contributing to their tax base. So, in other words, they look closely. I think it's true to say that governments also have other motives that would make them encourage associations, encourage cooperatives, encourage non-profit organizations on the social side. But obviously governments are concerned about the tax base, about the financial income that they have to operate with. And so they do make it tough at times to make sure that you get registered properly. And so it's very important to know what government requires in your clauses. Two clauses in a constitution that are almost always asked for is a clause that will make sure that the resources of the organization upon winding up would not be distributed to the board members. Now, this is a way of saying that our purpose in bonding together is not to get our hands on the resources. Our purpose is to get the resources to others, and they may even require a clause in some countries that indicates that the resources on winding up would be passed on to another organization with a similar cause or with the same cause. And it also is usual in constitutions to indicate how you can amend the constitution, how you can bring about what are the conditions, what kind of notice periods, what kind of meetings, what kind of quorums is it required. Because to change a constitution, for example, they'll very often require a higher quorum, let's say a 66% vote, rather than a 50% vote, which would be a simple majority. So we have to have constitutions that are thought through. There are guidelines available for them, and we have to get registered properly In South Africa, there are 3 different types of non-profit organization. There's a Section 21 company, there's a trust, and there's what we call a voluntary association. Now, it will vary in the legislation from one country to another. Mozambique, for example, has another kind of approach where they have associations. However, those associations can be either profit or non-profit. So you have to get to know the environment in which NGOs are operating and then get registered properly.